Warning, this video contains content spoilers for the recently released Pikmin 4. If you wish to remain spoiler-free for this video game experience, then I advise you turn away right now. Hello everybody, it's me, your good friend Sparky, and welcome back to some more Pikmin 4. This time, the actual game, and not the demo. Apologies in advance if you hear some background noise. I have fans going right now because it is very, very hot. And I don't want to be hot and uncomfortable in my recording room while I'm doing this. So anyway, yeah, Pikmin 4 is out. Pikmin 4's been out for about a week now. And I am having a really, really good time with this game. And much like my, week after talk about Tears of the Kingdom after it came out, I wanted to sort of give my thoughts on this game and explain my viewpoint on what it's like and, how amazing it is and how some parts, aren't as amazing. And, yeah, we're just gonna go to an area, play a day of Pikmin 4, and explore some different things. And just talk about it, and, talk about this game. I have, of course, 100% completed the first 3 areas, and I am working on the 4th, so let's head here. We and Ochi blast off, taking the onion with us to the hero's hideaway, which is the 4th area of the game. If you hadn't listened to the spoiler warning at the beginning of the video, I suggest you turn away now. So, yeah, I mean, Pikmin 4. The fact that this game exists is still, makes me so darn happy, so incredibly, incredibly ecstatic that it just brings a smile to my face all the time, every day, all day, since I've started playing it. And it is just kind of an amazing experience so far. In many ways, this feels like an ultimate Pikmin game, because now we have all the different types of Pikmin, and no one is limited to challenge modes or anything like that, and it's so nice. It is so very nice. We gotta get everybody here. We've got things we need to explore. We've got jerk green dogs wandering around down there that we need to deal with before we could do anything. And yeah, Pikmin 4. In many ways, it's kind of difficult to put into words my thoughts on this game, because it's one of those games that I almost never expected to exist. I was like, Pikmin has always felt like kind of one of the lesser Nintendo franchises that not a lot of love is given to. But over time, honestly, it's come to my attention that Pikmin is, way more popular than I initially considered and thought. Pikmin has kind of become one of Nintendo's, big franchises in many ways. That this series has been going on since the GameCube. It's appeared on pretty much every one of their consoles since then, and it's just kind of incredible in many ways. But at the same time, yeah, it's never had, the not motivation. What am I thinking of? It's never had the, sort of mainstream attention as Mario or Zelda or Pokemon. You know what I mean? It always felt like Pikmin was kind of in the background, and the concept of there being, a 4th main entry never really felt like it was gonna be a reality. You know? Pikmin 3 was on the Wii U, the Wii U wasn't very successful, and it almost felt like Pikmin was gonna kind of stop there. We did get Hey Pikmin 2, which, a lot of people have thoughts on. I think it's a perfectly fine game, honestly. Even though it's not nearly up to the same level as the mainstream Pikmin games in terms of quality. But, yeah, man, at the same time, it's still nice, you know. It's still really good. The Pikmin 3, it felt like it was going to be kind of like the end of the series for a while. It didn't really feel like the Pikmin franchise had the drive to keep going past that point. As weird as that sounds saying that now. But then we got Pikmin 3 Deluxe on the Switch, and it was like, okay, maybe. Maybe Pikmin 4 can be a reality. Maybe this is like looking to the future and hinting at something to come. And as it turns out, it was. Not only do we have Pikmin 4, but we also have Pikmin 1 and 2 on the Switch now, which is really, really nice. It feels like it is the ultimate glory time for Pikmin fans such as myself. And I feel like a lot of other people agree with that sentiment. It's just amazing. It's awesome. Why am I missing a Pikmin somewhere? Oh. It's Clyde. Of course it's Clyde. What are you doing back there, man? But yeah, anyway, Pikmin 4 is pretty interesting because... Oh, I completed a series, nice. Pikmin 4 is pretty interesting because in the same way that Pikmin 3 kind of felt like a successor to Pikmin 1, where the main goal of the game was just not to spend as long as you want collecting treasure. It was spending a limited number of days trying to accomplish a central goal for the Pikmin 3 crew, Elf, Brittany, and Charlie. It felt like it was like an evolution of Pikmin 1's concept with that set number of days you have to explore and one set goal in mind, really, and you're just... Yeah, you know what I mean? Pikmin 4, on the other hand, definitely feels like it's like a follow-up to Pikmin 2, where you've got as much time as you want to search through these areas, which are absolutely gigantic, by the way. The Hero's Hideaway, especially, is a really massive map to explore. You have as many days as you want, and it's all mostly centered around collecting treasure and just exploring caves, which we are going to go dive into now. This is, I'm pretty sure, the last cave of the Hero's Hideaway that I have to do, and it's the Doppelganger's Den. And this kind of brings me to another point with Pikmin 4, is that Pikmin 4 is very smart. It is very smart in the way it operates and the way that Pikmin handle. There's a lot less guesswork, I should say, because every time you go to an area, you have the Pikmin. It suggests what Pikmin you should bring with you, because those are the number of Pikmin. Those are the types of Pikmin, rather, that you need going forward. You're not diving into a cave like in Pikmin 2 without bringing any white Pikmin with you, only to discover that there's a treasure buried that you can't access because you don't have your white Pikmin with you. You know what I mean? It is just... They definitely made it a point to make the game smarter and make the game a lot more user-friendly. You have your, like, little lock-on throw that you can lock onto enemies with, so you're not missing your tosses. You've got... Pikmin will automatically, like, rejoin you without you having to whistle to them when you walk by them, which is really nice. And things like that, where the game just feels smarter. The Pikmin feels smarter. It has the, like, little hesitation when you're throwing things at something, so you don't, like, overload it with more Pikmin than you have to. And it also has things like Ochi. Ochi is, like, a really interesting concept, where he is, like, part Pikmin, part playable captain, where you can direct Ochi to go do things like you can a Pikmin, but you can also just switch to him and play as him, where he can also direct Pikmin to do stuff like you normally could as a captain. I'm gonna hop off him, and I'm just going to dismiss my group, and we're gonna switch to Ochi. And now everybody's just going to Ochi and ignoring him over there, except for that little group. And we can just play as Ochi. And he can do stuff. And, like, he can also perform tasks that Pikmin can do. And it's just really neat. They took the concept of leading a squad of Pikmin and leading 2 captains and combined them into one. It's just, again, really smart. It's like how Pikmin 3 gave you the ability when you're playing as, when you have 3 captains to deal with, it gave them you the ability to control all 3 captains and, like, throw them around and direct them to go places. You can do all of that in Pikmin 4 here, with the exception of, like, throwing Ochi. Instead, you just ride on top of him and you can, like, jump over small gaps and stuff. Jumping in a Pikmin game, by the way, pretty intense, I gotta say. I was not expecting that to be a thing when Pikmin 4 was announced. Also, I don't know what this is. I'm hoping it's, like, an ice thing. Oh, it's a bubble generator, okay. I was afraid of my Pikmin getting attacked by an unknown thing. Oh, and this guy. These guys suck. Whoops, I missed. Also, Ochi has, like, this charge maneuver that he does that we saw a bit in the demo. And the thing about Ochi, too, is that he is just kind of amazing. Where a big part of the game is upgrading Ochi and increasing his abilities and things like that, so he can more effectively assist you. And when you're all riding around on Ochi's back, there's a lot less chance of Pikmin getting lost in places, like getting caught on corners and stuff, because they all just ride on top of him, and you can ride across the water after a certain point, which is kind of weird because his ability to swim was not given to you as, like, a power-up, but, like, a power-up you had to earn, but more just, like, I don't know, an ability that was randomly given instead. It's a little strange how that was handled. They introduced this whole system with Ochi has this like own share of, like, special upgrades you have to give him, and then they don't do that for learning how to swim. It's odd. It's a very oddball thing. And honestly, speaking of Ochi and his, like, abilities and stuff, it leads to, like, an entire thing with Pikmin 4, where there's, like, a sense of progression with this game that did not exist in the previous Pikmin games. And what I mean by that is, it was said, like, right before Pikmin 4 comes out, that they were basically Nintendo was wanting to do what they did with a lot of other Nintendo games after a certain point, where they wanted to try and change things and challenge people's perspectives on how a Pikmin game should work. And they do that very successfully, honestly. Because at first it was a little off-putting, honestly. Because in Pikmin 4 here, rather than having, like, your ability to carry 100 Pikmin at once right at the beginning of the game, and you can take out as many Pikmin as you want, of as many colors as you want as there were available. You know, there was a lot of freedom to how you set up your party and all the different Pikmin in the first 3 Pikmin games. But that's no longer the case in Pikmin 4. When you start off Pikmin 4, you can only take out 20 Pikmin at a time, and you're only allowed to take out 3 different Pikmin at a time. But you think that would put a damper on the experience, but it just sort of helps turn the experience into something different that Pikmin has never been before. More of a sense of, again, progression as you play. There was progression in the other Pikmin games, of course, but it was all centered around one thing, which was collecting stuff. You collected the ship parts in Pikmin 1, you collected the treasures in Pikmin 2, you collected the fruit and the upgrades the same way in Pikmin 3. And this game has that too, where it's all about collecting treasure and going forward. But it also has its own separate list of upgrades for both you and Ochi that you collect materials for, and you collect the pup drive points, they call them, for Ochi. And it's just, it creates a very different kind of experience. You collect Flarlick to increase the number of Pikmin you can carry at a time. You collect the different colored onions. And it's so you can like breed, you collect the different colored onions so you can breed more Pikmin of different kinds out on the field. Otherwise, to get new Pikmin of different colors, you'd have to go out and explore into the caves, which you do that a lot anyway, so I've never really felt like I'm running out of Pikmin in any case. And all those upgrades and stuff leads to things like this, where Ochi, now on my game, has the strength of 100 Pikmin, and he can just carry back an entire treasure by himself. Of course, you can throw other Pikmin to help him, but it's just goes to show that, yeah, there's a lot to this game and the way it performs that's very different from Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. And that was all intentional. That was all by design. Rather than just let you have, like, the total freedom to do whatever you want right at the beginning of the game, it's instead about managing your resources to increase your capabilities. And it's very neat. It's very refreshing in a way. Because as far as like standard gameplay is concerned, Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 were all very samey in a lot of ways. But Pikmin 4 instead takes that sameness and adds new elements to it to keep the experience different and fresh for both new audiences and experienced players. It's very nice, honestly. I like it a lot. I still would say that there's certain aspects to the first 3 Pikmin games that I like better. For instance, it's very odd how they spaced out, like, earning the onions in Pikmin 4. Basically, like in the demo, we saw there was a blue onion wandering around, and we collected the yellow onion that joined with the red onion. So you have to find the onions out on the field, but it's very odd how they spaced things out with that. Because, as you saw on the map there, I 100% completed the first 3 areas of the game. I got in every treasure, every onion, every castaway that you're trying to find, you know? And, while 100%ing those 3 areas, I only ever found the 2 extra colors of onion. You get the red onion right at the beginning of the game, and in all 3 areas, you can find yellow onions and blue onions. But none of the other color onions, which is very, very strange. It took until getting to the 4th area here where I finally found the ice onion for the ice Pikmin. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It took going through 3 areas 100% and making it to area 4 before I got the capability to grow ice Pikmin outside of finding them in caves. What is this? Apparently not something I can knock down. I'm assuming there's a switch somewhere I need to press, like this one up here. Oh, interesting. That's different. So this is very much a sort of divide and conquer area here. We need to, or rather, we need to divide up our group here. Okay, hold on. White Pikmin this way. And I will say, too, it's really, really nice to just have white Pikmin and purple Pikmin again. They were very sorely missing in Pikmin 3. That's how numbers work. That was the third Pikmin game. They were very sorely missing in Pikmin 3, and I'm very happy that they're back. I'm sure a lot of people are. You would think it would be, like, on the obnoxious side that you can only have 3 types of Pikmin out at once now, but in reality, I think it's honestly for the best. Hey, an NES controller, that's cool. Because these areas are huge, these areas are complex, and trying to juggle 8 different kinds of Pikmin at once in some of them would, in fact, end up being kind of overwhelming, I think, in a lot of aspects. Really? That happened? You guys, what are you doing? Come on. I'm trying really hard here. That's a bit annoying, but whatever. And yeah, you end up having all of these kind of interesting gameplay aspects where you are able to more focus on certain tasks because you're not trying to, like, juggle, like in Pikmin 2 and Pikmin 3, you're not trying to juggle, like, 5 different types of Pikmin at once. And Ochi is very versatile in the way he acts and the way he performs. It's, again, it's all just very different and new and refreshing, and I like it a lot. And just the box standard, like, Pikmin gameplay here is top-notch. It is at some of its best. Oh, my Pikmin are being scared. That's unfortunate. Stop. Stop being frightened. Yeah, these guys are back in this game. It's pretty dumb, if I'm being perfectly honest. Oh, can't get around that way. Okay. It also helps that, you know, I've obviously, if you've been paying attention to my channel, I've just been playing a lot of Pikmin 2, and Pikmin 2 is kind of my favorite Pikmin game. So it's very refreshing to play a game that is a lot like Pikmin 2 in its sort of the way it performs and things like that. It's not all, like, happy bells and whistles, though. There is some aspects of Pikmin 4 that are a little strange. And I guess it's time to kind of talk about the negative. Because while I like Pikmin 4 a lot, while I'm having a really good time with it, it's not really my ideal Pikmin game in many ways. How do I get up there, actually? What does the map look like? Oh, there's a hole you can go down. Okay. Ouchie. Take your squadron and go through the hole. Interesting. Now, I can get that. Cool beans. However, now I need to go back around and lower the gates. Neat. But yeah. Pikmin 4... Like I said, Pikmin 4... Okay, that's really annoying about this floor. Carry it through. Where are you going? Carry it... Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you bringing it all the way around that way? I thought you were going to try to carry it through the other way. Whatever. Yeah. I'm still gonna... but now I don't know which direction they're going. I gotta wait for them to come through. Come on. Okay. We good? I'm not gonna close you out. I'm gonna open this up. So... Oh, but now that's closed. This floor is kind of dumb. if I'm being perfectly honest. This is kind of dumb. I can still get through, I guess, but it's just gonna take a little while. Anyway, kind of get distracted from the point. While I like Pikmin 4 a lot, while I think this is, like, absolutely an excellent Pikmin game in all aspects, in most aspects, I should say, I feel like in their mission to do different things with a Pikmin game, they ended up doing a little too much in certain aspects. And that's what they call Dandori challenges. The Dandori challenges are basically Pikmin 4's versus mode and Pikmin 4's challenge mode. There's a lot of aspects from... The different Pikmin games have always had different game modes to sort of match, to complement their existing game mode. They had a story mode, and they had versus modes and challenge modes. And Pikmin 4 has that as well. They call it the Dandori challenges, which come in 2 different flavors. Either versus matches with one of the primary leafling of Pikmin 4, who is totally, definitely not someone familiar, or time challenges that are basically the collect treasure mode in Pikmin 3's challenges, where you have to collect every item on the map in a certain amount of time. Or at least collect most of them to pass. And you know what? That's fine on its own. But the thing is that they end up shoving those into the main story mode, where I don't really think they need to be. Pikmin 4 already has a lot going for it. As previously mentioned, these areas are really big. They are really huge areas to explore, and the game's days are a lot longer to show that. I'm not faulting the game for being big in any regard. Obviously, they wanted to go with a lot bigger. And that's all fine and dandy. With the way the game's set up, that's more than acceptable. I really like these bigger areas and being able to spend more time with them on the longer days. Because, yeah, there is a lot to explore. There's a lot to do in them. Also, I guess I can't use this candy pop bug because these mushrooms are here? Okay. Interesting. By the way, if you're ever dealing with these bubble traps, ice Pikmin do not stay in bubbles for very long. They freeze the bubbles and they immediately pop, so they're perfect for taking out the bubbles. Anyway. Yeah. They obviously wanted to go bigger with this game. They wanted a lot of different things for the player to do on these maps, and that includes adding in the Dandori challenges. Which, I don't know, I don't necessarily mind them, but at the same time, I almost wish they weren't part of the main game, because there's already a lot here. You have the huge maps to explore with the longer day limit. You have the caves to explore, which in this game they don't stop time like they did in Pikmin 2, but they do slow time down, so the days still last really long when you're in the caves. And it feels like, honestly, that's kind of enough. Where the game didn't need... Oh, darn it. Yeah, that's another weird thing about this game that I'll get to, is that it sort of has motion controls, but it doesn't, and it's just very awkwardly implemented. You can only use motion controls when you're getting ready to throw stuff, or you're getting ready to whistle Pikmin to you. And it's just weird. It's just weird, because you start to rapidly throw Pikmin, and your controls can go all over the place if you're not holding your hands steady. I'm sure there's an option to turn off the motion controls, but I'm too lazy to look for it at the moment. Anyway, as I was saying, with as big as Pikmin 4 already seems to be, with as much as they've, like, managed to accomplish with this story mode, you have the really huge areas to explore, you have the mystery of the leaflings, you have your rescue crew that you're supposed to be rescuing, and it feels like adding in the Dandori challenges to the main game, a main game that is already, like, rather large and imposing in a lot of aspects. I'd like it if you don't eat my white Pikmin. I can't really get more of them that easily, thanks. It really feels like they added a little too much in that regard. And not to mention, you also have the night missions that you have to deal with on top of everything else. The night missions are their own kind of bag of worms that I'll get into. But yeah. We'll talk about them in a little while, I think. We'll talk about them when we do a night mission, I guess. Oh, come on. Stop. Why is there a cannon beetle? Where did you come from? What the heck? Okay. I didn't know you were there. Now I do. Let's see if we can do something about that, shall we? See if you can freeze you. Ice Pikmin are awesome, by the way, just from their ability to freeze enemies and stop them in their tracks. Oh, no. Oh, stop drowning. Alright, alright. Someone got smashed. Alright, 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 stop. And yeah, also to complement the, like, the largeness of these areas and the caves and stuff, you have different base locations, which is really nice, too. So now we have a base right here. Of course, only blue Pikmin can safely, like, get things up here, because it's surrounded by water. But still, it's nice. And when you move your base, it automatically moves your Pikmin. There's a lot still here that's really smart and really fun, and I like it a lot. It's just, I wish there was a little less in some cases. There's a term I can quote called trimming the fat when it comes to, like, media and things like that, where it's, like, removing unnecessary things. And I feel like they could have done that with this game pretty easily. Yeah, I know, you can't get that across because you're a dumb little white Pikmin and you can't swim. I feel like they could have reduced the amount of things in Pikmin 4 pretty darn easily, and without much effort, too. Like, it wouldn't have really interrupted the flow of the game or made there seem like there's, like, less to it. Oh, I could also technically do this. I'm gonna freeze the water. I forgot I could do that. Now everyone can join the fun. Okay. But yeah. So, to kind of illustrate my point, let's pause here for a second. Where's the mission menu? Missions. Okay. So, you have 4 primary missions in this game. You have Rescue the Rescue Corps, who crash-landed on the planet looking for Captain Olimar. You have Rescuing Olimar, which is the primary story of the game. Quick drink break there, sorry. You have Securing an Energy Source, which is collecting treasure and getting Sparklium to power up your ship so you can escape the planet. And you also have Rescuing the Castaways, which are all sorts of other people who got Olimar's distress call that lured them to the Pikmin planet, and they're all here now, and you've got to find all of them. And it's like, I feel like, from a narrative perspective, these 3 things were enough. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really need this extra thing. And this is... The rescuing the castaways thing is a lot of what introducing the Dandori challenges into the main story mode is about. You have to complete these challenges to rescue castaways. Though some castaways are also found in caves. And rescuing the castaways and them being turned into the leaflings, they call them, is a primary part of the story. You rescue the castaways, who have been turned into leaflings by the main leafling, who is totally not anybody we know. And then you do the night missions to get the cure in order to make them not leaflings anymore. And so you end up with this big how-to-do of finding the leaflings, finding the castaways, then completing the challenges or getting them out of caves, and then you have to do the night missions in order to fix them and, like, prevent them, and, like, not prevent them from doing anything, turning them back into regular people. Yeah, it really does feel like an entire thing that the game could have done without, you know what I mean? You could have, like, rescuing people and then being turned into leaflings be a thing, of course. But the thing is, we already have a mission that perfectly suits that. Rescuing the Rescue Corps, who came to rescue Captain Olimar. You could easily fit the Rescue Corps, this group of characters, into the, like, mission to turn them back from leaflings and tie that into the nighttime missions, too. Like, you don't really need this whole extra thing where it's finding the castaways, because finding the castaways, in a lot of respects, just is the same exact thing as collecting the treasures to power up your ship. Because a good majority of the castaways you find are not turned into leaflings, and they are basically just another form of collectible. I really feel like they could have condensed things down a little bit, left the Dandori things to a separate challenge mode and versus mode like in the last games, and the game still would have flowed and worked almost exactly the same. You would have not been missing anything unless you were told otherwise. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, it's just... I can do that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that before. I don't really have a problem with the way the game proceeds. I don't mind the way it's set up. But from, like, a design perspective, I really feel like it could have been a situation where less is more. You could have less things going on in the game and accomplish the exact same goal. There would not really be a need for rescuing these castaways and turning them, some of them, back into leaflings if you just kind of integrated that all into rescuing the Rescue Corps. You know? You know what I mean? Because otherwise, you just get into this situation where you have this giant, like, conglomeration of random characters hanging out at your base camp that I, for the life of me, cannot remember anything about them. I remember there's, like, a plant person, there's an archaeologist person, there's a person that manages the Piclopedia for the enemies, there's a person that manages the treasure catalog, but I couldn't tell you their names, you know? I have no idea who any of them really are, in many respects. We have another thing where we've got to kind of divide and conquer here. Ochi, you wait here, and I'm going to go back around and switch the conveyor belt back so you can carry this back. Or not. Okay, hold on. Wait. Fan. This is gonna blow me up here? Yes, it is. Okay. That's what I was supposed to do. Now, Ochi can grab this. And he can carry it back. Only needs 2 Pikmin, have the strength of 100. And see, there's still a lot to this that's really, really cool. I like a lot of this game. I think it's probably... I like it. I would overall rank Pikmin 4 better than Pikmin 3, I think. In terms of Pikmin games, my, like, list of favorite Pikmin games, stuff like that. Not saying Pikmin 3 is bad by any means, but, but just, yeah. Since I like Pikmin 2, the way it plays more than I like the way Pikmin 1 plays, even though I love the way Pikmin 1 plays. Don't get me wrong, Pikmin 1 is still one of, like, the best games I've ever played. Since I prefer Pikmin 2 over Pikmin 1, it makes sense that I would prefer Pikmin 4 over Pikmin 3. But I still say I like Pikmin 1 better than Pikmin 4. And Hey Pikmin's in there somewhere, too. You know, that's an entirely different subject. Yeah. Anyway, collected all the treasure there. Let's go to the next floor. But yeah, I mean, it really feels like there could be aspects of this game where they were slimmed down and you could accomplish all the same goals and you wouldn't necessarily be missing anything. Like I said, trimming the fat. It brings up an issue that I've ended up having a lot with recent Nintendo games. Oh, and a big version of this guy. Okay, that's really stupid. Alright. Well, I guess we're fighting. Circle around you, and Ochi charge! Oh, and now I expose your weak point for massive damage, I see. And the, like, inventor guy always suggests, using a bomb to solve everyone's problems. Which makes sense. You know, bombs are cool. Oh, and you're gonna keep adding those back onto you, I see. Okay. Alright, alright. At the same time, this gives me a good distraction to actually, like, go and fight you and do stuff to you, you know? If I could freeze you, that would be really nice. Oops, some Pikmin got eaten. That still happens in this game, unfortunately. But the charge really isn't doing too much for me. It's really more about just trying to aim for this weak point up here, I guess. The charge does end up knocking things off of him, which is nice. Alright. There we go, okay. Ended up losing a few Pikmin there, but that's fine. And now we can destroy all this, get rid of all this stuff and carry the treasure back so it stops messing with our treasure radar and all that good stuff. Just throwing Pikmin everywhere. It's fine. No rhyme or reason. Just throw everything everywhere. Oh yeah. I mean, that's my general thoughts on, like, the main campaign in Pikmin 4 so far. With the exception of the night missions and things like that, but like I said, we'll get to the night missions when we get to the night missions. I want to at least finish, like, a Pikmin 4 day first. And I think I'm fairly close to, like, completing this. Though there is, like, another part I can go to. I think I've almost got, like, everything in the main area done, aside from, like, going into, like, what I'm assuming is gonna be, like, a final area of the area. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily want to do that on camera, so I'm just kind of working on regular stuff for right now. Collecting the treasure, getting this cave done, stuff like that. And there's one more batch of jars here, I'm assuming. Yes. There's a castaway here who has been turned into a leafling, which will help us lead into the next part of the discussion once the Pikmin 4 day is over. Yes. Hello. Get you back. Oh, yeah. What was I saying before the boss fight started? Yeah, okay. Leafling recovered. Good work. Can't read his ID because he's covered in leaves. Which, honestly, it just looks like hair. It doesn't look like leaves. It looks like they're covered in hair. Like there's some kind of Chewbacca Ewok creature. I don't know why they're called leaflings when it... Or, like, why they don't look more like they have leaves on their body when it's just hair. Design problems. You know? Jump off. Got some nectar to get. Right. The sort of issues I have with Pikmin 4 kind of leads into general issues I have been noticing with Nintendo games in general in recent years, ever since Breath of the Wild was a thing. And, of course, you know me, I love me some Breath of the Wild. But I've noticed that the philosophy with designing games on Nintendo systems now, it seems to revolve around going bigger and trying to break the norm. Trying to do new and different things with the franchises, which is good. It's important to experiment. It's important to do new things. You have games like Breath of the Wild, which kind of started the trend. You have games like Mario Odyssey, which put a different kind of spin on the 3D platformer collectathon that we all know and love. You have games like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which puts Kirby into a whole new perspective aside from the 2D one he's usually in, and it's, like, absolutely excellent of a game, an excellent kind of game. You have, like, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which go, like, full open world and things like that. You know, it all revolves around the Nintendo games trying different things and, like, trying to shake up the norm and trying to create these really huge experiences for players to play. And that's fine. That's fun. Like I said, I love Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Awesome games. But I'm noticing more and more as time goes on that those awesome games and huge experiences, there's certain aspects to them that you look at them and you analyze them and you realize that they could be thinned down. They don't necessarily need everything that they have. You know what I mean? There's certain parts of them, certain aspects to them, where you could have taken them away, and much like how I described with Pikmin 4 here, you'd really be missing nothing. You'd still get, like, a full, plentiful experience, and you wouldn't have to, like, go through, like, an entire crazy things that don't need to be there. Mario Odyssey is a really good example for me. I love Mario Odyssey. It's a really good game. I loved playing it from, like, the start to the finish of the story. And the 3D platformers with a lot of stuff to collect is my jam. You know what I mean? Freaking Donkey Kong 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. And that game is all about just collecting stuff in mass quantities. And Mario Odyssey is too, but I almost feel like at a certain point in Mario Odyssey, with the amount of things there were to collect, I started to get bored with it. And, like, I finished the story, I finished all, like, getting all the primary power moons and stuff that were there and available. And after a certain amount of time, I started to stop having fun with it, because there were still a lot of power moons you could get in the post-game, and you can unlock some, like, alternate endings or something. I don't even really know all the details, if I'm being perfectly honest. But yeah, after a certain point with Mario Odyssey, I had just been playing the game so much and collecting things so much that I started to stop having fun with it. The game was more than serviceable the way it was set up, just playing it start to finish, and the main story, that it didn't necessarily need the million other extra things that it introduced in the after the story mode. Of course, it's always good to have extra content and things like that. I'm not denying the game of that, or, like, of denying players who enjoy having that sort of extra content and a lot of things to do. But Mario Odyssey, I feel like after a certain point, it could have stopped and it would have been fine. Give us a couple post-game areas to explore, like the Mushroom Kingdom area that you could go to afterwards, which had all the, like, the Mario 64 references and stuff in it. That was really cool. That was a lot of fun. But it could have just stopped at that. Like, the game, like, lengthwise was fine enough on its own, and you could have had the one extra area, and that would have been good. That would have been a full, amazing Mario experience, and I would have been fine with it. But the fact that it introduced, like, a million more power moons you can collect after the fact, it's like, okay, do I really need all this? Do I really need to be doing this? And the truth of the matter is, you don't. Like, there comes a certain point where the game could have stopped, and the game should have stopped, and it would have been fine. It didn't need the extra content at the end of the game, at least not in the amount that it presented. And honestly, when it comes to, like, trimming a game down to just, like, the bare necessities, or, like, trimming it down so it doesn't start to feel bloated, I'm honestly starting to feel that way about Tears of the Kingdom, too. I like Tears of the Kingdom a lot. Tears of the Kingdom is a game I was looking forward to. It is absolutely excellent, and I still say, in almost every aspect, it is the superior game to Breath of the Wild. I do not deny that. I don't think it's possible to deny that. But the more I play of Tears of the Kingdom, the less I wanted to spend time with it. Because it is a really big game. It is much bigger than Breath of the Wild was in almost every way. And it's possible that it's also just kind of like burnout, because I did finish playing through Breath of the Wild 2, like, right before Tears of the Kingdom came out for, like, my videos. It's entirely possible that my feelings of, like, getting bored of Tears of the Kingdom just come from burnout from playing Breath of the Wild immediately before it. And, you know, that's understandable. Let's use my fancy little alert here to call my idle Pikmin back, which is very nice. Like I said, this game's very smart in the way it presents things. It, like, helps you keep Pikmin from getting lost after buying certain power-ups and things like that, and it's very smart. It's very nice. It's a very well put together game. But yeah, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom, excellent game. I really, really, really like it. But I haven't played that game in a couple weeks at this point. I just don't necessarily feel the need to. I'm at the point where I could go to the final boss, but there are so many other things in the game that I could do. I just don't feel the drive to do them like I did with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, I said it when I was recounting my like first week experience with Tears of the Kingdom 2. It was a situation where Nintendo was trying to make lightning strike twice, and for the most part, I think they accomplished that. But in other aspects, I don't think they did. Because I can definitely say I still like Breath of the Wild better than Tears of the Kingdom, regardless of it technically being, like, the superior game. Now here I am talking about Mario Odyssey and Tears of the Kingdom, when I'm supposed to be talking about Pikmin 4. I guess it's just all to illustrate my point of when you're designing a game and you're putting these games together, you don't necessarily need the game to be as massive as they are at points. Mario Odyssey could have stopped after the one post-game world, and that would have been fine. Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like the entirety of that game, the entirety of, like, the advertising for it at first, it was all about, like, the sky and the Sky Islands and, like, the race of people who founded Hyrule coming from the sky. That, and you get to the actual game and, like, almost nothing involves the Sky Islands. There are certain story aspects, yeah, but the Sky Islands are very sparse in comparison to the Hyrule Depths, the underground area, which the, like, pre-release trailers and advertising for the game, like, it didn't go into at all. You could, like, cut out the entire underground area of Tears of the Kingdom and put more effort into just do, like, the overground, the Sky Island area, and I feel like the game would have been, like, 100% better in that aspect. It would feel a lot less, like, overwhelming with as many things as there are to do, because you have exploring the Sky Islands, exploring Hyrule, and exploring the underground. If you take away the underground, add to the Sky Islands, it would be a lot, but it would be less of a lot. You know what I mean? And that same argument goes for Pikmin 4 here, where it doesn't necessarily need the amount of, like, things to do as it has. And we've got all these treasures, and we're completing treasure things and completion bonuses and stuff like that. It's very nice. Again, all of the games I'm talking and complaining about with all this, I like all these games a lot. I like Mario Odyssey, I like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is another bag of worms on its own. Like, sort of glitchiness of that game aside, where people had a lot of problems, have had a lot of problems with it. Scarlet and Violet, I think, suffer from the same sort of problem, where they have this open world and, like, all this freedom to go wherever you want and do whatever you want to without a lot of direction, so it leads to parts of the game where you're, like, venturing into gyms and battles that you are not prepared for. You know what I mean? You're, like, severely outclassed, and you can just go there and do that. I don't know. It's like an overall criticism I have of a lot of modern Nintendo games, where less can be more. Where you can trim out some aspects and the game would still be, like, perfectly serviceable. And we're getting our end-of-day conversation here. I heard this voice saying, I can deliver that package faster than absolutely anyone. And you didn't think that was kind of suspicious behavior. It was pretty suspicious, I guess, but he did deliver my package 2 days faster than the other guys. Our previous pilot had just retired, so I decided to give him a chance. I think it worked out for the best. It would have worked out even better if he spoke just a little quieter. Yeah, Bernard has this thing of, like, just shouting every now and then. It's pretty neat. And, like, you've got all of these, like, side missions and stuff you could do, which Like, it's all stuff that you end up doing normally while you're playing the game anyway. So, I don't know. It's just a little weird. I don't really see the need to have this, like, entire, like, ensemble cast of characters hanging around your rescue base. You know what I mean? You could leave all of these guys out and just have it be the rescue crew. Have the main purpose of the game turning the rescue crew back to regular people instead of leaflings, and it would have worked exactly the same. Speaking of the leaflings, though, I think it's time to talk about another aspect of the game, the night expeditions. Let's go out and explore at night. And what the night expeditions are is basically like a tower defense mode, where we're protecting like a central area and trying to keep enemies from getting to our base. You know, like a tower defense game. You know what tower defense game is, right? Is that still a term people use? Where you're like setting up sentries trying to protect like a central base from an invading army? That's essentially what it is. And we can play it a little bit. Because, I mean, we have a leafling we can cure. We can go into this, no problem. The one thing about the night expeditions that I will say that is kind of nice about them is that they are significantly shorter than the day missions. It's not like a Sonic Unleashed situation where the Werehog stages really overstay their welcome after a while, where they're really long and they're not terribly engaging sometimes. The night missions are short. They're just like a quick enemy waves that you have to deal with, and you have to protect your base from them. And it's nice in that regard, I'd say. And there's like a certain initiative you can take for like sending Ochi out to like take out enemies ahead of time, because another way you can finish the night missions is just by eliminating all of the enemies on the map. You don't necessarily like have to just stand there and wait for enemies to come to you. You can also go out and fight enemies ahead of time in order to... Oh, there are 2 luminals here. Yeah, it's the luminals they're called. So, like, you get a really good view of the area and where all the enemies are, and you have 2 bases to protect, and it's all about like protecting them and preventing them from being destroyed. Not all missions have 2 bases, but some of them do, this one being one of them. So we are actually going to command Ochi to go to the other base. And again, the game is very smart about the way it does this, because the glow Pikmin are exclusive to this particular mode. And it's all about, like, when you're protecting the bases, you are automatically, like, the glow Pikmin will automatically move back and forth between the 2 captains, so you don't have to, like, divide your forces up at all. You can actually just very freely switch between the 2 of them. And, like, you don't have to worry about losing ground in that respect. You know what I mean? Am I making any sense? I can actually just show you. If we can command my guy to go up this way, switch over to Ochi, and now all the glow Pikmin are with him. And we don't have to worry about, enemies, like, you know, I lost my train of thought again. It was there, and now it's not. We can more effectively manage things. We don't have to worry about dividing up our Pikmin forces or anything like that. We can just freely switch back and forth between the different captains, and it's all fine and dandy. And also we have the trick nulls that we have to protect that distract enemies and things like that. You know, it's neat. It's neat. The night missions are a very different kind of Pikmin experience, which is fine. But at the same time, it's an aspect of the game that I feel like it could have been handled differently and better. It's like there doesn't seem to be much of a reason for the night missions to, like, be the way they are. If that makes any sense. It's primarily because there's, like, this whole tower defense aspect to it that doesn't... It's so hard to put into words to, like, what I'm talking about when I'm trying to do this, because this is very distracting. There are enemies heading out. Where? Oh, there you are. Okay, you're heading over here. Okay, alright. It's like we have this whole, like, tower defense aspect where we're, like, preventing our base from being attacked and destroyed. But this is kind of all there is to it. True, we can use our, like, supply of items, like bomb rocks and stuff, to, like, set up traps along potentially important areas. But it, like, doesn't have anything that inherently makes a tower defense mode in a game interesting. Like, upgradable power-ups and things like that. Upgradable buildings to use. You know what I mean? It's a little hard to describe, but if you're familiar with how a tower defense game works, then you should get what I'm getting at. Like, you're supposed to set it up where there are different towers, or different, like, what's it's protecting the path to your base. And this doesn't really have that. It's just more you and Ochi double-teaming the enemies and taking care of them that way. You're still playing it like it's a Pikmin game, but it's kind of just mixed with a different game mode. It's weird. I can't really get into it. I've been playing the tower defense mode here, tower defense Pikmin time, for a while now. And of course, yeah, I've 100%ed 3 different areas. I've been curing leaflings of their afflictions. And I'm still not really into this mode. We took care of the creatures without time running out, so it just ends from this point. And I'm not even really to, like, the harder missions yet. Like, they increase in difficulty as you go on. So it's like, I feel like this is going to get kind of insane, and it's not going to end up being as fun as it initially may seem. It's going to end up being really difficult at some point. And I feel like that could definitely be fixed if it were more like a regular tower defense game, where you can set up more traps to help, like, dissuade and beat enemies before they reach your base of operations. You have the trick nulls, but once you destroy those, they're gone. You can't get them back. You only have so many per night. I don't know, when they first announced the nighttime missions, it made it seem like you were actually out exploring at night, which is what I thought it would be. Like, you were actually out on the maps exploring at night, and the enemies would just be, you know, more difficult, more aggressive, because it's nighttime. You're not supposed to be out at nighttime. And, like, I feel like they could have pretty easily done something like that, where there would be, like, only certain parts of the map that you could get to and explore at night in comparison to during the day. And then you could still explore around and, like, collect the harvest here, the luminol, the cure that you need to cure the leaflings, by doing that. But instead we have this weird sort of tower defense gameplay that is missing a lot of the aspects that make a tower defense game fun. So I'm not crazy about the nighttime missions. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. They're fine the way they are, but I wish there was something more to them. Of course, I was just talking about how, you know, the game trying to make the game not feel bloated, or like trying to remove aspects that don't need to be there. And now I'm saying it would be cool if you could explore this entire map at night too, basically doubling the number of maps in the game. But at the same time, they could easily fix that by, like, reducing the size of the maps, too. Having them, like, not be quite as huge and imposing. So, when you're exploring them both at day and at night, it's like you're exploring 2 different maps and you have double the number of places to explore. They would just be smaller than they are currently in Pikmin 4. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird to describe. It's weird to, like, put it into words, honestly. But that's my general thoughts on Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 is really, really good. As far as, like, the base Pikmin gameplay is concerned, it has everything I love about the first 3 Pikmin games, but it adds that new layer of, like, upgrades and progression that the other games didn't have to make it its own kind of unique experience. But at the same time, it feels like there could be certain aspects that could have been dropped. It feels like there's certain aspects, like the nighttime missions, that could have been improved upon. The nighttime missions are especially weird because you don't have access to all of your Pikmin. You only have the glow Pikmin. So you can't, like, utilize the different Pikmin's, like, unique abilities in any way to, like, make the nighttime missions more interesting, I guess. The regular Pikmin do not come out at night, so you can't, like, use rock Pikmin to stun enemies that are coming towards the luminol, or use ice Pikmin to freeze them, or use winged Pikmin to more easily take out flying enemies. You just have the glow Pikmin. And weirdly enough, when you try, like, charging a flying enemy with the glow Pikmin, they do not fly up after them. They basically, even though they're floating, they still act like they're stuck to the ground like a regular Pikmin. It's a bit odd. Yeah, okay, they're all chatting about that. I guess that's kind of it. That's my thoughts on Pikmin 4 so far. It's still really good. I'm having a lot of fun with this game, but there's just certain parts of it where I feel like there could have been a little more, like, clarity and straightforwardness to it, and it didn't have as many ends sticking up all over the place. You know what I mean? Also, yeah, we can cure the leafling now, since we got some cure for it, some medicines. Hooray. As it's this guy. Yay. Como. Yup. It's just another character at the base that I have no emotional connection to, and I don't really care about them like I did the captains in previous games or anything like that. They're just here now. One of many people with probably like a random side mission for me. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there's parts of this that I'm not too huge on, but there's also a lot to this game that I really, really like. It is definitely a worthy game in the Pikmin series, and I suggest you play it for yourself if you haven't already. I don't know why you wouldn't have if you're watching this video, or why you're watching this video when there was like a clear spoiler warning at the beginning if you wanted to play the game yourself, but whatever. Pikmin 4, awesome game. There's a little bit here that I think could have been done differently to make it more of a straightforward, smoother experience, where there's just like not as many things going on. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. It is pretty darn awesome, and I am pleased. I am pleased with this whole experience so far. But yep, that's gonna call it for right now, I guess. My little thought process on Pikmin 4. So, thank you very much for watching, and this is your good friend Sparky signing off for now. I'll catch you later.